Hi everyone, this is JP, and thank you for joining me in the pilot episode of the Cobra Project's Conversations. Hope everyone's doing okay and staying safe, keeping healthy, and kumusta? So I'm very excited for this episode because this is the very first podcast that we have to pull, and having to have this guest of ours is really an honor. Um, the guy's very busy, and he really gave us the time for us to tackle, well, get to know him more, right? But yeah, I hope everyone's doing okay. And recently, here in Iloilo, where I am right now, we are still under modified enhanced quarantine. So everyone from ages below 18 years old and senior citizens aging from 62 and above, they're not permitted to go out of their houses. And we just had strict protocols with health and safety measures. It's really hard. It's really tough, especially for our people who are having day jobs, um, getting to limit the capacity is working on site. And a lot of people, unfortunately, get to lose their jobs in the process. So it's really challenging times, and I hope everyone's doing okay. So recently, I just discovered, and because I'm really a big fan of movies, I really love watching movies, especially those um, live action movies, right? From mangas, cartoons, and from animes brought into life. I'm really interested, and it piques my interest really knowing and watching these movies. And I just learned earlier today that Netflix Philippines, by the way, just got an approval of airing the Rurouni Kenshin saga. And fortunately, because we are airing this, or we're recording this right now, um, June 17, if I'm not mistaken. No, June 18. Yes, June 18, and um, and around 2 p.m. Philippines time, and I got an update from my Netflix account that the Rurouni Kenshin's final movie would come out later today at around 3 p.m. So it's just really in time, and it's a good timing for us also airing this or like recording this just to get by the hour, and it's really interesting. And I got bumped into this new trend, um, and I don't know. I mean, people are getting hyped with the new BTS meal, and well, to my point of view, it's still nuggets. It's still fries. But I mean the how the it impacted most of the people that I know, and it got friends that are armies who's really dying to buy um, these stuff, and I kind of like joined a little bit of the hype. I mean, the BTS Coke, well, still a Coke. It's just that I think how McDonald's markets the endorsement really made a big deal to our fandoms, and I do had a lot of friends, and I was really laughing because there are when I posted the picture, there are like a lot of my friends commented or posted if it was really serious that I really did this, and I was like, yeah, I mean, what gives, right? I mean, it's worth a try, and no hate comments, basically. So it's really good to like really get into this type of conversations with people, knowing their thoughts about it. There are even people hating each other because of the hype. And at the end of the day, I mean, people appreciates BTS appreciates how how your undying fandom is really living up to its expectations, even stepping up to it. But at the end of the day, it's still us meeting new people, having new friends, getting the same interests and whatnot. I think that's the most important thing to live by. And apart from these things, that is really handy. You can have it anywhere. So it's funny that I also get comments where if you sell the bags and the packages to Japan, they're gonna buy it for a certain amount of price. I'm like, really? But yeah, I mean, you can't blame people. They just had that kind of hype, and they're just very enthusiastic about these things. It's pretty evident wherever we go, and it's quite. Uh, it's not really something that we can meddle, um, just because we have our own self-interest. So, let them be. So, yeah, kamusta? And I guess really hoping that everyone is doing well. And right now, apart from me being excited as like a kid waiting for the Rurouni Kenshin, I'm pretty excited for this episode as well. Um, because when I got to decide in building this kind of podcast, it gave me a lot of thinking. Got inspired with different people around the world, normal individuals that carries over a very interesting story. And it's kind of like what this is. Code Brews conversations is just like being conversational with people that and really checking on them, how they're doing, and pretty much, wanted to check what they have been doing lately, especially that we have been separated for a period of time because of this pandemic. So, we get to hang out once in a while and get to ask, how they're doing. So I guess that's pretty much the essence of this podcast. And um, let me introduce the guest that we have. So um, he's a good friend of mine. Um, pretty much everyone knows him in the scene. He is definitely an art enthusiast. He gets to meddle with um, a lot of art mediums. He's an influential person in different forms of art. He's a good photographer. He has done skating, skateboarding. He likes to draw, and I think he's also a graphic designer. He designs his own brand. A good speaker, and a very much well known in terms of his belief in life. The changes that he's gone through over the years, and because this person was my previous bandmate in that group, and we've been through a lot of challenges as well as we go through living the dream now. And this person really helped me a lot in my career, really, as a musician. Well, if you can call it career, but yeah, he made really a big impact on that how I live the dream. So I get to thank him for that. Um, and he's definitely a music virtuoso. So he's the CEO and a creative director of the Sauce clothing line. He's also the co-founder of the Sound of the South production. He's actually a partner of mine there. I think he's also running a business right now. I believe. Apart from the clothing line, he's venturing out different stuff as well. And I get to see that because He also were inviting me in a lot of stuff there. So he is the front man of a band named Days Before Downfall. Just a brief history on that. Days Before Downfall was a fanboy of that band. They introduced, no, well, for me, I mean, personally, they introduced the Deftones kind of vibe. They play Deftones. They play Queso. Now, back in the day, new metal was really the hype, and I'm a big new metal fan. Up until this day, I'm a big new metal fan. I listen to Korn, Rage Against the Machine, my favorite Deftones, of course, Linkin Park, and whole lot of bands doing the new metal scene. And he really made that kind of impact in my days during that period of time. And also, he's a good songwriter. You know, being with him for like 4 years, he gets to think about these ideas, in creating the songs, and he's just really good at it. He's good in creating that kind of music videos per se, and I really like how he he challenges himself, in doing better as he progresses into the career that he's actually doing. um, and apart from that, I guess the vision that he has in his band really made a mark on how disciplined this person is right now. Um, he has done a lot of things, and I guess I learned a lot of things from him, especially when I was doing the band thing, um, traveling and being a disciplined musician. He really, I think, taught me of a lot of things in on how we get to gamble ourselves. Knowing that the piece of art that we are doing is something that is really not meant for mainstream. And everyone knows that. Everyone knows that in the scene, where they do not really have that kind of a idea on how this things works. And sometimes it's really helpful if you get tapped with a friend who knows these things, and he's one of them. As far as I can remember, I started the music scene around 2014, and shout out to Manny Bart. He helped me build my track there, because some folks really, back in the day, when you get to build a band, at times you're gonna get into that platform if you are playing with a band in your universities, or probably your colleagues in college, right? So you get to play with people. There are even orgs there back in the day, and it's really, I think, from my end, it's really hard and challenging because I, for one, never had the chance to build that kind of momentum when I was still studying, because of a lot of things. We had those dark times, and I think we get to jive in different forms when we realize na okay, tambay, and you get to meddle with different things. So I was really not into that previously, but I do love music, and he brought me to that piece. And it's really good to consider where that actually came, because it's really exciting, to know that we have this kind of people who's really is really into is really passionate about their about of what they're doing, and has been doing that for 10 years or more, I guess. So we get to know him that later on. And when we get to a point where, I'm done doing the fanboying and stuff, I get to play with him um, in a band, and it's really. it's really an honor. I mean, not just for him, but for the other bandmates that I have. Um, they taught me a lot, and it opened my eyes into different possibilities that we have right now, because it's really good to be a part of a certain process where you get to know yourself better, because you're comfortable with the people that you're working for, right? I mean, it's not all the time that you get the chance to be comfortable with building your tracks with other people. So it's really seldom that you had that. And for the most part, I guess this person really probably had a greater impact as well to other people that we don't know. So I mean, he can he can teach a lot of things to a lot of people. So we hope to like discuss that later on in the podcast. But for the meantime, I mean, I've been listening to I've been listening to different podcasts nowadays, probably because it eased my mind, knowing the different areas apart from vlogging. And I at times, it's just that vlogs at times may mean different. It's not a bad thing, but it's just that how they strategize things, and that they them creating the content. It's really giving me that urge to really listen to what's really the real thing going on, like in someone else's life, and they get the chance to live with it, and tell it to the world. It's really good. It's really good and exciting to know that these things are really meant for something better, right? And to a point where we get to um, know things firsthand. Really, I think that gives me an ease. I for one would really um, mean a very good thing for people. And there's even one time where I get to listen uh, to this podcast, um, stories before dark. It's interesting because it's well, the person is narrating it has really a good voice, and he also has given that kind of justice on how creepy these stories are, and it's really good to listen to. It's really real, and it gives me proper knowledge of really understanding these things. Okay, so without further much ado, I would like to introduce the main man and the front man of Surebol. Our next and our very first guest, by the way, sorry, is none other than Mr. Vicente Moscoso. Okay, so we'd like to welcome everyone, our very first guest for the pilot episode, Mr. Vicente Moscoso. Um, and thank you for accepting the invite. So, Lou, how's everything doing, Musta?
Uh, okay man. I mean, siguro big impact is, pero still okay man. I mean, the pandemic has been both a blessing and a struggle for music-wise. I think struggle siya, no, for musicians
Mm,
since it's lacking the presence of gigs. Siguro dako gina siya nga impacted. But at the same time, it has uh, kumbaga daw napukaw ya ba ang
mm,
other things nga capable ka of doing. Siguro it has been a blessing for siguro sa damo man because ang ilang creative side mas nagawa like for example subong sa akon binangayan mas ang bandara gyapon, but still mas nag-focus ko siguro subong sa clothing line, and then sa luto-luto, which is daw dugay ko na man siya
Yeah.
nga hilig man. So okay man na daw, at least daw amo na guro ang side sang pandemic nga daw pambal kung nga daw nangin blessing siya. Pero siguro beneficial sa aton nga mga nag-obra sa BPO or nag-obra sa online,
Right.
daw
Mm.
sige taya.
Mm.
Pero ang mga siguro ang mga naiguan siguro ang mga nagapisto nagapisto mga naga 9 to 5 job kumbaga. So
And
okay ba na?
yeah,
Surviving
and the recent situation in Antique, but just really devastating to see the employees of the Gaisano Mall right now. And I was scrolling while we were waiting for the show to start. I was scrolling the Facebook, and I've seen that they're actually outside of the Gaisano Mall waiting for food packs coming from the government. So it's really a struggle, especially nowadays na our capacity on site for each of the establishments are like being cut into half, and even just 30%. So I've known some who's really just asking for any help or assistance needed to land a job sa BPO. So it's really hard. And um, recently I just found out na, and I think you're a fan, no? I just found out Netflix Philippines just got an approval of airing the Rurouni Kenshin saga starting later. The final cut of the movie will be aired after this podcast. It's 3 p.m.
Oh,
It's in Netflix.
okay.
So
So
yeah, I just thought you should know. I just thought you should know. Because I
pero
was
di ba
waiting for this.
pero di ba ang ilang tatlo previous is already available on Netflix, or
It
it's
was never
already, it
available.
was.
It was never
Okay.
available. It was only available in some countries. So pero sa Philippines it
Sa
was never
Philippines hindi.
available.
Okay.
So I just learned yesterday, earlier this morning when I was scrolling na maka-play siya. So it was really good. So I think some people are really waiting for that, for most of my friends. But
Yeah.
anyway,
And siguro that's the most awaited because it's been pila ka years man since nasundan nila ang Samurai X. So I think it's very it's welcoming and for those who's really into Samurai X, and even me, di ba? Though last ko nga tanaw, though that was dugay na gid
four,
ya.
4 years ago.
For
Ano?
siguro dugay na. Siguro it was a setback man siguro the pandemic man, that's why wala nila siguro na finalize ang release. But okay, so going back actually sa Antique nga incident, actually since me myself is from Antique, so and most of my friends that I grew up with are from Antique, so it's very sad to see what's happening, especially if you're from there. I know that there are people who's showing sympathy what happened, pero if you are really from that place, and especially for me that I think half of my life para ko dito, and I have memories of being there and all of that, so it's just heartbreaking, especially it's the first mall of Antique,
Oh,
and it's yeah, it is the
okay.
first
That's
mall of
nice.
Antique, and it has given so many opportunities for people in Antique man to work. Kay dako siyang establishment. So dako siyang pullman sa mga Antiqueño nga nag-obra dito, nga makakita man isang obra, giving them a chance to work. So doka devastating kung panumduman mo. And I think it's a first time for so many years that Antique has encountered that big of a fire. So I think they are not equipped for that type of
I see.
incident. That's why makita mo na ngayon kasi sila bulig from Iloilo, and then
Iloilo.
Iloilo, which is dugay na yan. I mean, travel mo pa from here to Antique, it's gonna take time, and then knowing the distance from Iloilo to Antique, so dako gid siya
It's
gid siya
it's li-
challenge man po.
yeah, it was really a reach, and I've seen the aerial view, no bird's eye view sang
Grabe.
establishment. It's really
Grabe.
crazy. So I mean, yeah. But anyway, I know that you've talked about the clothing line and your
Mm.
venture businesses. We're gonna talk about it later on. But what's keeping you up lately? Like keeping you busy nowadays? I think the last time we've seen each other, I think that was last year or before you
Last year
actually left.
pa.
That last year.
Last
So
year.
so it's like a very long time now. And you know what keeps you busy nowadays?
Uh, well, there's a lot of things actually. So number one, it's music. So
Mm.
with the band, we're well, given the fact that we are on NECD right now, so it kind of like stopped that we are meeting every weekend. I think you've seen updates that we have
Mm.
uh joined Jesse as
Right.
a team
Yeah.
member. So
Mm.
it's actually an advantage because Jesse is also into recording and then into synth. So it's kind of like an advantage compared sa aton before, di ba? We would spend like
Mm.
2 hours sa
Yeah.
studio just creating music and then kung kaysa malipatan pa. So it's kind of like crazy doing that. But I mean, we pulled it with the first album, but for this one, I think it's an advantage. So that's number one. Still creating music. Number two, I think just doing uh, artworks. That's really keeping me busy every day. Not unless if may ginatanaw akong anime or mga Korean drama, dabi nga
Yeah.
mga gasalot
The usual.
which the usual. So I think it's still the same. I mean, music
Mm.
and then art and then by just staying at home. I mean, there's so many
A lot
things
of
that you
things you
can,
can do.
yeah, a lot of things that you can do. So mana siguro ang mga bagay nga nagapasako sakon. So amo na siguro the
Yeah.
usual man before minus na siguro ang mga gigs out of towns and all of that. So it's still the usual things that I do even before pandemic.
And similar thing, I guess, because of this very first podcast that I wanted to develop. I think it brought that part where it was really the pandemic who actually driven me to do some things outside of what the usual thing that I do. So it's really a normal thing for people, siguro. And I just gotta say this: having Jesse on board was actually I think the right mix for the band to pave its way into to what really it should sound, because I've seen the recording itself, and man, I mean, I was because well, Jesse, for one, as far as I've known him, is a virtuoso as well in terms of music,
Yeah,
photography, and a lot of stuff. So I mean, it was really a good mix. So that was really an advantage. Apart from that being an advantage, is really an excellent pathway for the band to grow. No? So that is something that I was following it, and it's like really really good. So knowing that you are building that kind of track for music, and ever since have known you for a very long time, the passion is there. I wanted to know exactly. Is this really rare that I actually ask you about this? You're doing photography back in the day. Up until now, you're doing creative designs and art. You're doing music, of course, and you were doing skateboarding. So I wanted to know where that all started. Now let's start from that, because you're a homegrown in Antique. So how is
yeah.
it like when you were little? What kind of music does the family had a benchmark of being a musician, or how did it all started? I'm just curious to know.
I think it all started when because I'm doing choirs already. I'm joining choirs when I
What
was
age?
in element. I think that was during grade five, I guess. And
Mm,
then when I started in high school, I joined the choir. But I mean that's already part of the musical journey that I have. I think way back, my mother's brother was also in a band. So I think that kind of like sparked the idea that we have that on the bloodline. And at the
mm,
same time, my sister is also a singer as well as my mom. So I guess it was really something that I grew up into. Just having everyone into music in the family, but on on the side of me being on, because it's in an TK, I think it's very rare way before early early 20s, I guess, that you would encounter people who are, there are some, but I think we are very scattered because there's no social media presence and all of that. So you really don't see people, or you really can't, what do you call this, encounter people who are into those type of
Mm.
music, like underground music
Right.
and all of that. So
Mm.
I wasn't really open into that first. My sister was into Backstreet Boys, boy band stuff. I mean, the usual thing that you see
Yeah, that's
mainstream.
right.
So
Yeah.
that thing kind of like influenced me, and then I think that the only the time that I was really open into like uh, having the idea of I wanted to form a band was when I think watched the life story of Shackle in MMK.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
yeah, so because the thought before of you being a musician, you need to be rich, of course, because
Yeah.
equipment, and
Equipments and
if you're gonna think what's gonna be the source of recording. Way back in the day, it's very hard. There's no recording studios. There are some, but I mean it's really
cassette
hard and it's
tapes.
very expensive. Yeah,
Cassette
it is very
tapes.
expensive. So I was opening to that, and I was watching Noel Paloma's story, and then he was like living on like in a rural area in Manila, and I was like so amazed that how he was able to build Shackle, and then they were able to tour and all of that. So I think that kind of like gave me the jump start of me uh, forming a band, and I think it just streamlined from there. My cousin was the first one who's really into underground music because I was into hip hop after that. I was listening to Eminem,
Oh,
Busta
nice.
Rhymes, Salva
Really.
Puta, and all of that. So it's kind of like a long journey until my cousin would tease me because I would have him listen to Andrew E. And Carlos
Yeah.
Heresy tracks and all of that. So it was kind of like teasing me because he's already listening to like majority of the underground music that I was just listened into, like
Mm.
uh, Papa Roach and all of that. So he kind of like introduced me to underground music, uh, and I think it just went from there. I started my first band when I was, I think, around 15 years old. 15 years
Mm.
old, and we were doing like covers of like Slash Rock, and then uh,
What's the name of the
uh,
band?
Toinks.
Oinks.
Toinks was
I
Toinks,
didn't
yeah.
know that. I didn't know that. The last time you told me about
Push Pencil.
pencil, push
Yeah,
pencils. That's
push pencil.
the
Yeah, yeah.
so
So push
Toinks
pencil was like,
came first. Toinks came
yeah,
first.
Tonks came first. Came first. Those that was formed with my friends that I used to play with Counter Strike. So we kind of like
But
grew. Yeah,
you're singing already. You're not doing any instruments. You're singing
I
already.
was I was singing already, but the first plan was for me to be the drummer because the
Oh,
owner of the
okay.
computer shop, actually the owner of the computer shop was uh, he's not a, yeah, he's a member of the Salvation Army. So there were
Mm.
music instruments in the church. So I think like one afternoon we kind of just like planned hey, why don't we form a band, something like that, and it's just like okay, so I'll play the drums because I was into Blink 182 way before we formed the band. So I was really into Travis Barker. I would like do air drums in front of the mirror and then just like
Right.
imagining myself
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
front of the crowd.
Mm.
So I was really into that type of vibe until I think we're on that same direction with our friends when we kind of like thought like why don't we form a band, and then okay, so who's gonna be doing the guitars and all that. So I was actually wanting to play the drums, but there's no vocalist, so nobody wants to sing. And then I was kind of like, okay, so I will be on the vocals. So I think
Mm.
after that, it kind of just like went on because it's hard for me before because what they're planning to play is, of course, there's already like involved screaming. So
Yeah.
it's guitar,
Right.
it's hard to do. I mean, until siguro daw naanaran ko naman, but
Mm.
I think from there, it just kind of like started after Points. There's another band that I formed, which is uh, Push Pencil. No, it's Public Suitcase. And then
Mm.
after Public Suitcase, it's Push.
Same band member.
No, it's
No.
already
Okay.
different. it's already different. So after Toinks, there's Public Suitcase. We're doing covers of like Sum 41, and then Push Pencil. Uh, Push Pencil, we're doing. That's where I really started to do some growling and then screaming because we're already doing covers of Finch and
French.
some of the screamo bands. This is already like mid 20s, like
Mm,
2007, somewhere there. And then after that, Push Pencil, we changed our name to Days Before Downfall. So
yeah,
that's
yeah. That's an interesting one because before the start of our show, I did the intro and it was like telling that I'm really a big fan of Days Before Downfall
yeah,
because the influence of Deftones, Queso, you guys opened my eyes to those kind of stuff. It's like, damn, these guys really rocks. And believe me, that is still
the 9 days.
the emotional factor that I had when I first saw you guys in Lanai. I was like, damn, these guys really rock. So days before downfall, Push Pencils have the same band members, or no?
Yes. Yeah.
They're the same.
We kind of just like yeah, we just change the name because one of our there's like a commotion in the band and we kind of just like decided okay let's change the name. But eventually because we are parting ways with the previous guitarist during that time, Kent. You know Kent, right?
Kent, yeah.
Yeah, Kent. So we're parting ways with Kent because, of course, with some differences that, of course, what you go through during your teenage years, and
Right.
but Kent eventually came back. He
Yeah,
returned.
yeah.
He returned to the band. So we kind of like decided, okay, let's change the name because if we don't change the name, he would still feel that he's still part of
He's
the
still
band. That's
part of the
actually
band.
kind of like that's actually kind of
Otherwise,
like the yeah, it's kind of like a bad thing to do. But I guess during that time and it's just like you're not mature enough to so that's that and then we changed to the Days Before Downfall and we kind of like struggled because I think the members during that time were kind of like on and off, so we need to
mm,
switch members from because the original band members are from Antique.
right.
We of course some left there because of priorities and all of that, so we changed the name and then it's kind of like hard because the members that we are uh, inviting to join different influences, so we need to switch the music.
Mm,
So from covering under oath and like punk screamo and all of that, we need to switch to new metal just to adapt to the influence of the new members.
influence.
So that's where I was not actually introduced to Deftones until probably 2000 and 2008 by an office mate. And then when I first heard Deftones, I think it's the same as you. I mean, you would be very amazed of how
It
great the
blew my
musician they
mind.
are.
Yeah, it
Yes,
blew my mind
exactly.
when I heard it.
And I just and when I listened to Deftones, that's where I found out that okay, Greyhounds and Cheese were getting
Right.
influenced from this type of music. So that kind of like opened my eyes that okay, these guys are the big daddy of this type of
New
genre.
new
So
metal,
that
yeah.
kind of like yeah, new metal. So that kind of like opened me up, and I kind of like Deftones because they have the melody, and then there are parts that they are like their screams and growls and
He
all of that.
sings eh.
But
Chino
yeah,
sings eh. He sings very
yeah,
well eh. So
exactly.
it's like good.
That's its advantage, and the way he sings the budget,
Mm.
it's very unique. I mean, we would
Melodic and stuff.
yeah. I remember like we're doing no, it's with Days Before Downfall. I think we're doing covers of Deftones, and then I would listen to the music, and I would sing with it. I would sing with it. I mean, it's just normal. But when you're already away from the music, and then your
Mm.
band is playing it live, it's very hard to like
The
find a tune for you not to sound like out of tune or out of
tune,
melody.
yeah.
So it's hard. I mean, that's why I really admire people like Nico, like the local artists that we have here who are covering Deftones, like Nico from Steve Carpio is very
Steve
good at
Carp,
that.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it's rare that he gets out of tune. So yeah, so I think that's my musical journey
But
from my
how
sister
did
and then going.
so how did you personally got into the Iloilo scene? Because I know it's well, you really had a
Oh,
very interesting path of musicality. No, how did you guide yourself into the Iloilo scene? Was it with Push Pencils, or it's already the days before Downfall? And how did you come up with that cool name? I really like the name. So a bit of
Okay.
history with that,
So,
I think.
so for the name first, for Push Pencil is what it was actually Kent's idea because his cousin was also into music, and I think it was what do you call this? It was like a list of name from a band that his cousin was with in Manila. So they were like
Mm,
this, as far as I could recall, that's the
mm,
history. So there were like these names, and then Push Pencil was not chosen. So Kent was like suggesting that, hey, why don't we use this name for the band? And I was like, yeah, it sounded really good, and then it just like kind of like jive because we're kind of like on those teenage years and all of that,
yeah.
and then the type of music that we're playing before because most of the band are into like fourth and bobo. They are onto alternative and punk as well.
Mm,
So I think that kind of like just had a good mix to the type of music that we were playing, and then with uh migrating to Iloilo. So fourth and our first guitarist. No, fourth was on as a seminary. So he was like
oh,
studying
oh,
as
really?
yeah.
It's
Yes.
still a seminary. Okay.
Yes.
That's interesting. I did
So
not know that. I did not know that.
yes, I think at his first year until I think mid second year until he transferred in Iloilo. So the first guys who's really here in Iloilo was Ken, Venture, our
Mm,
bassist and our guitarist. So they already have like connections here. Mary
I
Bell,
see. Yeah,
yeah,
bad.
Mary Bell, yeah, Bell, and then his boyfriend Kaloy on factory overhead before were close friends even way before
Mm,
they became a couple. So we have this but even before that we're already like doing gigs in Antique and then just doing compositions and all that. So we were kind of like making because way back on 2000 and I think 5 or 4 there's really no like legit music scene in Antique because there's very few bands
mm,
uh, that
yep.
are that are starting. So we kind of like already made not boasting, but I think like three of us, like three of the bands there, we are already making name for ourselves because
Mm,
it's a small town,
small
and then
town.
it's very rare that there are bands. So the medyo gumanda na
Yeah.
sa rappers na.
Rappers.
And then so so that's that. So after that, we're doing gigs in Antique. There is this one time that there's Rockapalooza in CPU.
Mm.
So for Rockapalooza, we were actually invited to play there. That's actually like the starting point of everything.
So that's
How
the
we
first gig.
guys.
That's the first
That's
gig
the
in
first
Lula.
gig in
Rockapalooza.
Iloilo. Yeah,
Okay.
Rockapalooza. So we played one composition, one cover song. I think that's I forgot, but those were the type of songs that it's like classic, and then you turn it into pop punk
Mm.
or a punk
Oh
song.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, those were the days. And then I think the other one I forgot, but we played three songs and we kind of like got the attention of the people because
People.
yeah, because even before, diba, for us that it's kind of like even before Insureball, for
Mm.
us to really know how good we are, we need to step on other borders to
Right,
see of how
right.
good of a
Mm.
musician we are. So that's even before I joined Sureball or we formed Sureball. That's already the mindset that I have. So I told the
Mm.
guys, why don't, because we're kind of like hesitant because of course, what type of music are we gonna bring in the city? Because it's Iloilo, it's a different ball game. No one knows us. We barely. I mean,
Yeah.
we don't know how good we are as a musician. So
It,
we took
it
the challenge and then we played there and then we kind of just like made a statement that okay, we can do
you're
this. I mean,
capable, yeah.
we will be able to take on the challenge here in Iloilo. So
It
I think that's the
it's
starting point. And then
it's
after
like
that, we can just like tap onto productions and then uh, streamroll from there as well.
so it was like bringing me back back in the day when when we were traveling, going to Manila, and like it's a different monster. Nah, you don't know what you're venturing out to. It's like, yeah, it's just everyone is on the go. So it's really, really fun and exciting and interesting as well at the same time. And yeah, going back to the days before downfall, how did you come up with the name?
Oh, so okay, so the story behind that, so days before downfall is that so the story was okay, so we're already deciding that Kent would leave the band.
Mm,
So so w- days before we change the name, we've already decided that we're gonna be forming a new band. So it's days before. So
before
downfall
this.
stands for like the disbanding of Bush Pencil.
Yeah.
So
Ah,
days before we disband, we
okay.
already decided to form the band days before downfall. So that
That
kind of
that's
like
interesting.
yeah.
That was a really interesting story. So before I know, I'm just saving the best for last now. Before we discuss Surebol, um, you had different ventures. Eh? One of the things that I like about you is that you're really versatile in different forms of art. You were doing skateboarding, you were doing photography, you were doing music video creation. So I think from those forms of art, how did you got into those stuff as well?
I think it yeah, because it started with music. I mean, music was like the eye opener for everything because we're into excuse me, because if you're listening to like uh punk rock, you would be seeing music videos that there are people skateboarding at the back. There are people with
Yeah, yeah.
like earplugs or tattoos and all of that. So that's kind of like one of my it's not really like a dream, but of course I was really into those type of stuff until I moved here. So after I so fourth and I were like we're planning to start to learn skateboarding. That is back in 2007 as well, I think, if I'm not
Mm.
if my memory is correct. So we got our first board, and then we just started, and then just like the local scene, you pretty much would be able to mingle with other people who's really into that. So after that, we kind of like known people who's already here in the city doing skateboarding, and that's how I met the people who's into skateboarding here as well. So when I did skateboarding, uh, that opened me up into filming as well. So that's where my filming
Mm.
venture started, and then my photography, because of course filming and photography it kind of like jive with each other. So I have some few friends who's already doing filming, and I was like thinking, oh, okay, so you can do this, and then that actually also opened me into editing, because of course when you're doing
Mm.
videos you need to learn how to edit. So I was like using oh no, editing I already have that uh, in place when we are like doing small. Well, we are not calling it vlogs before, but we're doing like short videos before already, like
Yeah, I've
1,000.
seen it
Yeah, yeah,
in
yeah. So
in the
I kind of like started editing with Windows Movie Maker. So when I went into skateboarding, and then had the idea of, because I have friends as well who's like filming while they're skating. They were using like digicam, because cell phone that time is not really a thing when to use on filming, or DSLR is like very expensive to buy. So webcam. I have a webcam, so I was thinking, oh, okay, so why don't I start doing this? And then I started into filming. I actually focused more into filming compared to really like skateboarding. I kind of like just like skated really hard for like 2 years, and then after that I was just like busy filming. This is the time as
mm.
well when I was deciding to uh, put down music, because I think
Mm.
that time it was already like the members of Days Before Downfall were scattered. I think we have actually had Alfred before, who has played the drums. We have
Yeah.
John who played the
Mm.
drums as well. So that kind of like we're on that rocky stage wherein I was saying that it's like there's no point of moving forward, because of course
Mm.
the unstable members. So I kind of like focused more into skateboarding for I think 4 years or so, until uh, I got into Surebol. So I think that's where my 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 likings for uh, skateboarding, photography, and videography started, and also for like editing. I also started this way back in 2008 as well, just using like the first the third gen
Oh
iPad.
yeah,
What do you call that?
I
Yeah,
iPod,
yeah, iPod. It's like the
iPod.
iPhone, but it doesn't have
That's
SIM
one less
slot.
SIM slot. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
iPod.
so that, yeah, so there's
iTouch.
like
No, it's iTouch.
iTouch. Yeah, sorry, it's iTouch.
iTouch. Yeah.
So we had that application. I think I downloaded an application, and then I started just like drawing, and then I think that's how I got into it, and I was like thinking, oh, okay, so I can do this. So why don't I try to do more? And then it stopped until I think it just went back when during the pandemic, during the lockdown, that I decided to really try doing it, like really focus, and then just like spending time doing it, not just like
Mhm.
doing it for fun. And I think that's where it started. So I think it's really a collaboration of all the things that I really love to do, that
Mhm.
really started everything, because I don't believe that you would be really spending time onto something that you really don't want to do.
Mhm.
uh
Right.
because yeah, it's just a waste of time. I mean, it's not only because that okay, it's the coolest thing to do right now, that's why I'm gonna do it, but it should really be something that you really love to do. Like
Mhm.
that's you need to have that mindset that am I willing to spend time, effort, and money in doing this? Because if it's not, then you could be doing other things that would really be beneficial or productive on your end.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah,
think that's how I always decide things.
and the good part of it, knowing you, is like these are all self-taught, right? All of
Yeah.
these things.
Yes.
That's really a great milestone for someone. I mean, I've known people who really went to school and really learned this stuff really by the book. But you, I think, one of those people I know that really are good in experience, in building
Yeah.
your way up to these things. That's really inspiring now. And now moving towards the you moving building the Sureball band. Well, definitely I know when it started, but can you like give the listeners and the viewers a glimpse of how Sureball started and where did we got the name and stuff?
Okay. So well,
I hope
JP
it's not
knows
really
this.
awkward. Because I know definitely I know I just wanted everyone to get educated, no, and like so that they would know really where
Okay.
we started that.
So Sureball is actually a project band away from Days Before Downfall, because I think I was going back into music during that time, but I wanted to venture out because my for Days Before Downfall, we are playing new metal, like Cheese, Deftones, and all of that. So my love for metalcore, screamo, or should we say those type of stuff are still there. So I was thinking of like, why don't I form a band wherein I would be able to play this just for fun. I mean, just for fun. And then during that time, I think I saw Marky on one event that I was covering. He was with Ohana during that time, and I saw him. I already know him with IRC, but
Mm.
I haven't really seen him play live. So when I saw him play live, I was thinking, diba? When you see Marky
Yeah,
play, you would really see him with passion and all of that. So that's really
really a
one
great
thing that I was
musician.
looking for. So I was thinking that okay, I need to find members that are, diba? Our main purpose before, you need to know how to perform. It's not
Yeah,
that not only that you're just playing, because
yeah,
for us, I think really showing them uh that you really love what you're doing, that's more than enough for them to understand that you really love what you're doing. So when I saw Marky, I tapped him, and then I told him that why don't we form a project band? Do you know members that are into this type of music? And then he mentioned to me Raymond, who's the drummer as well at Bolts and Chunky,
close and
to
chunky.
join the band. So after that, I think on one post on the group from IRC, I think he tagged you on a post.
Mm.
I'm not sure how you got then I actually forgot how you got into the band, but I think it was through Marky as well.
Yeah, to Marky.
Correct? Is it through
Yeah,
Marky or is it?
because no, that was yeah. He was actually playing around with the post, and then I can like tag along because we already know each other,
Hmm.
so I can like chatted him, and then like, I think probably that where it started. Because
Yeah,
well, it's not a chat, but it's like I commented on that post, and
yeah,
then
yeah.
like kind of like he
Yeah,
brought me
because
to you
I
guys.
think I actually posted a video, a music video on the group, and then
Yeah,
I think Marky mentioned that okay, let's cover this song, and then I think he tagged
yeah,
you, and then I think we kind of like
yeah.
jump.
It just went along after that.
It's yeah, it's but our first covers were actually still some new metals, right? We have
Yeah,
My Own
yeah,
Summer,
yeah. My own
Pinelas,
summer.
and then Lost Prophets. So
Lost
okay, so
profits.
going back to the today's trip Surebol. So I think that's we formed the band, and then after that, after the first gig, it was actually kind of like I think there's no chemistry, right? There's no
We
chemistry.
felt that it's also the rest,
Yeah, we felt
right?
we felt
Right?
it
Yeah.
was cold. So
Yeah.
it was actually like so after that, I think that's March or May of 2014. So we kind of
2014.
like after that first gig, we kind of like we remained friends and all that, but
Yeah.
we never really uh tried to like find a gig or so until December of same year. We actually had this I think it just started again, right? And we just followed
We
the
went
post.
we
Yeah,
went back chatting each other and like
yeah,
okay,
we went back
let's try
chatting.
playing again.
Yeah, and then I think that's where it started that okay, let's play cover songs and all of that. And then during the first that's where Sam already joined the band. So
Yeah.
actually Sam was yeah, I saw Sam on a gig in Lanai. He was with Fall, Fall
He had
there's
a
a
band
Russia.
before back then,
Yeah,
right?
I forgot. The Fall of Russia.
The Fall of
The Fall of
Russia. Yeah,
yeah,
the
the
Fall
Fall
of
of Russia. I
Russia.
saw him. Yeah, I saw him. Yeah, so Sam and I knew each other way back when we were skateboarding.
Skateboarding, yeah,
So
got it.
yeah, skateboarding. So until I saw him on a gig, and then I saw, oh, okay, so he plays as well, and then I kind of like, so okay, he's good, and then it just stopped, and then until I met him in Avatar,
Mm.
and then I met him. Then I told him that, hey, do you still play, and then do you still want to join, or do you want to join with our band and all of that, and I kind of like because I think we're preparing for Valley of Chrome
Valid, bro.
that time, and then we already have this two composition, and I think that's where it started. Okay, so going back,
Mm.
so we made Shatta and then Lady in
Mm.
Red on one take. So that's
Yeah.
already a takeaway for us that okay, we're ready to form this band.
Yeah,
So
there is something. I think that's
there
where
is
it started.
something.
Like
Yeah, we
there is
all felt
something.
it,
Yeah.
and then there is something. So the way Sureball, why we named the band Sureball, because I wanted for us to sound as if that others can listen to us. So I was listening to a lot of Kamikaze during that
Mm.
time. I was thinking of a catchy name wherein it's not formal, it's not really, we're not forming a formal
Yeah.
band based on the two songs that we made. Lady in Red and then Shata, those are not the type of songs that you would really say, grabe yung lyrics, dalom-dalom, hindi ko
Yeah.
masabay. But those lyrics are just like plain street smart type of lyrics that
Mm.
catchy and all of that, and it's all in Ilonggo. So I think I wanted the band to go to that type of direction until Sam joined. So when Sam joined, I think we first he actually just on the first jam. I think that's the time we're in
He
nasunugan
brought the
sila.
yeah. No, it
Nasunu-
was see nice. See nice and the nice.
Hmm.
Yeah, I
Nasunugan
think that
sila, di
was
ba?
yeah.
Nasunugan.
We
Okay.
were jamming
So
eh. We were
yeah, we were
practicing
jamming.
and then the good thing that it's just near. Just near lang.
Yeah, it's near. So when Sam, I actually talked to Sam if he wanted to join the band, and then I didn't get any response for like 2 weeks until probably a day before the event. So When I saw him
Yeah,
again on Avatar, I told him that hey, we have a jam yesterday, but I already sent him the copy of Lady in Red and then
shut
Shatta for
that.
him to
Learn.
sepra or learn kumbaga. So so the day before the event, a day before man to or day of the event na to na
No,
nag-jam ka agad.
before, because we have we created Injustice. Eh.
Injustice. Ah, okay.
Yeah,
So
we Sam brought that very unique ref.
I think I think it's
That's
a
where the
pressure for
Injustice
Sam.
started.
I think
Yeah,
Sam is pressured as well during that time because it's his first jam, and we're like asking him
let's
to make a
create
composition.
a
Yeah, like
composition. Yeah.
straight up make a composition. It's actually for us as well to see if he can create music
Mm,
because there are musicians who's good at with covers and all that, but having a hard time with doing original. So I think that's good. So when Sam joined, I think that's where Injustice came, the metalcore sound came, and then Paulo joined the band, and then we created Fear is the Enemy, and then we
that
got
was
a
a
gig.
turning point. That was
Yeah,
a
that was
turning
a turning
point.
point.
Yeah.
And then after that, we got a gig in Bacolod, which is already too late because I think it was last minute where I got a message from the organizer in Bacolod to send us the details of our band. So I wasn't really thinking of anything of like I really don't have any time to brainstorm and
Mm.
think of what name of the band am I gonna be using. So I just sent Surebol, and then we made an impact in Bacolod, and then made a couple more gigs there, and then we really didn't decided anymore to change the band name.
Right.
So Sureball was not really the best of a choice for a band name, but I on greater note, I think it has also helped us build a reputation because people would think Sureball, what type of music do they play? And then they would see us playing
Yeah.
metalcore. It's like, oh, okay, so metalcore. So I think the name hasn't really been an issue since then until of course Shorbol went to Taiwan and all
Yeah.
of that. So
It
it's
just carried the entire band along
yes,
the way now. And the
exactly.
beauty of the uniqueness of the name was like makes everyone get the interest of like why that kind of
Yeah,
name and knowing what that means, right? So I think the slang term itself really brought the name. I brought the entire band as well now. Okay, everyone gets comfortable in the process, right? And
yeah, exactly. I mean,
um,
no one actually felt as if it's the wrong decision. But of course, given we were actually like thinking before to change the band name, but I think that was 2000. I think
oh yeah,
Kerbal is going 2 years or 3 years during that time, and we were kind of like thinking, why don't we change the band to Passing Through Kings? Because that's the band name that
but
we were planning to change it, Passing Through
yeah,
Kings.
I
So,
remember that.
but yeah, but we kind of like just said, no, I think
Right, right.
let's it. We owe
Paulo,
Sherbo
Paulo,
so much.
Paulo wanted to stick with the Shoreball name, because
Yeah,
he likes
because
it. He likes it.
yeah, and we
I
owe so
remember he said it.
much, and we owe so much
Right, yeah,
to
with the
Kerbal.
name.
And I think it's already we're already in that position that it's kind of like if we change the name, are we how are we gonna be building that type of
Yeah,
name again for people to remember us because people remember us as Sureball already, so
it
it's
it got
already
stuck. Nah.
it got stuck. So yeah, so
Mm,
that's actually the history of Sureball, but it's a hard process. I mean, from where we started, from traveling and all of that, an easy uh it's not an easy what do you call this direction to take
June.
because
Mm,
the journey is so hard that if you would look back and just really sit and think of it on how things really turned out, I mean, you would really say that how did it all happen? Because
it
doing gigs in
was
Manila
it
and
was really
then
inspiring as well.
yeah,
I mean, for other people. And I think one of the things I wanted to know, you being a veteran in the scene now, what's your creative process? I know that you create good lyrics, you create good songs, but what is your creative process in doing that? I mean, we've had we've had experience, like one take, the boom, the entire thing is built, and like it's structured its way, and lyrics are just flowing and stuff, and you just have to rearrange it and then formalize everything. So what's your creative process in doing that?
Uh, I think the number one, uh, the first thing that is really inspiring me to do lyrics is that the band members as well. Because of course, if you see the members who's really putting their time and effort and everything there, you get inspired of doing it as well. So of course, as a vocalist or as a lyricist of the band, you need to make sure that your creative ideas are always there.
Mhm.
So I think I really don't have a process into it, as long as I think my mindset when I enter a room and then we start creating music, uh, I think that's where I think get my inspiration, because when you see people who's doing their part and everything, I think you get inspired as well of doing your part. And I already have like themes in my mind already, like just stuck there and then just waiting to be picked. That okay, because sometimes when we're traveling, or when I'm just like alone or something like that, I would also listen into music or other type of genres, and then I would try to get some theme on that, and then I would of course okay,
Write
it's good
it.
to touch this point and all of that. So yeah, I think there's really no definite process on how I
Mm.
create lyrics or create songs and all of that. I think it just comes natural depending on the environment, and then depending on the mood as well that you're into.
And I think we both agree, and others as well, that you're one of the vocalists or voice in Iloilo who can actually do excellent screams or growls. We had to accept the fact that's really the reality of it. So, I mean, is there like, because I did it once, and like I failed very very much in that, and that's why I don't want to continue that way. But in terms of like how you do that, no, up until this this very day, is there like a technique, or like when you do things, or like you're just, it's just come out naturally for you?
Yeah, I think because I really can say, because of course I started as a newcomer as well in screaming. I remember when we are doing cover of Finch, and if you would listen to Letters to You, there's very
Mm.
few parts there that you would scream. And then when we are doing that, the BTS, the BTS of the
It
yes,
there.
sir. Very expensive, but it's very expensive. It's 200.
Mm.
Yeah,
200,
but it's
200 something. But
but it's collector's item.
and the reason why I asked, well, I was asking Divine to buy me chicken nuggets, and it's like it's kind of interesting to buy the BTS meal so that I can
Yeah,
have something to talk about
and you know
before we
that's
start. Before we start.
that's gonna that's gonna actually be expensive in the future, because I think that's just collector's item.
Mm.
I think and then I think the price is gonna be going up if it's gonna be phased out already. And
Yeah, it was quite interesting because there are, when I posted this earlier, a lot of people are asking me if seriously I really bought that, but they just, I think some people don't understand. There are just like a lot of hate comments about it, of the fandom and whatnot. I think from my point of view, it's not. It's like me. Like for example, I really love this kind of guitar. So by hook or by crook, I will buy it. And by the way, I'm gonna get the ones from Epoy. Yeah, he's selling his guitars. I'm getting it. So like that. I mean, I like it. I love it. So I really have to find ways to really buy it. So similar effect, siguro. And like, come on, it's like, yeah, it should have a price higher than the normal nuggets
exactly,
because
because
it,
it's
it, it's
marketing.
an,
You're
yeah,
not
it's
you're not only
endorsement.
buying McDonald's, you're buying BTS
Exactly.
included at that. So it's part of marketing. If you don't want to buy it, then don't buy it, but don't hate on it because you're not
Don't
buying it.
hate.
I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, there are people that wants to buy it because of BTS. They're not buying it because it's McDonald's. Of course, they're
McDonald's.
buying it for BTS. Diba? That's the closest that they can be with BTS. I mean, come on,
Agreed.
guys.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just amazed at those eight comments. Like, come on. But anyway, going back. So yeah, that key siguro knowing you being having that kind of voice is really really made a big impact, man, to the overall career
Yeah.
of the bands that you're with. And this is very interesting. I wanted to move forward with Sauce later and Hungry Fella now, but before that, there was this very interesting article I heard like 2 weeks back, and I know you heard it. It's very controversial when Ellie Buendia said that
Oh yeah.
him and
They're
the
not friends.
Razorheads were never really friends because people are pushing for something to talk about regarding the Minsan song. Na the Minsan song was like they
Mm.
thought for a while that it's really for the Razorheads being disbanded and whatnot, and it's not and even when I listened to Raymond's podcast. By the way, this podcast was inspired by him as well. So when that podcast came, it was like really he was just really calm in saying that it was never really meant for Eraserheads. But my real question is for I wanted to get your take on that. What's your thought about when Ellie said that we were never really friends? They made like what 6, 7, 8 albums for the course of like 10 to how many years, and saying that part where we were never really friends, we're never really close friends. What's your thought about it?
Uh, it's actually kind of like I have mixed emotions in that. I mean, when everyone who is in a band, and I think the bond even before without social media, I think it's stronger because those
Mm,
people that you are with in the band with are like your close friends. So I guess him saying it, but that's actually a uh I would also say that it might be true because I remember on one interview with Raymond, this is way back, I think, way back before, that he said this is with Sandwich as well, that
mm,
uh, with Sandwich they are uh, they are they are creating music with all their hearts and all of that, but outside music, it's like they have their own separate lives. So I
right.
guess that type of mindset would really see that it might be true because of course you need to consider for a certain period of time on your journey as a musician that the band is a separate entity
Mm,
compared to your friendship. So you can't be in the band and then you have for example, you have like what do you call this? You have misunderstandings in a band.
mm,
And that type of misunderstanding will bring the band down. So it's you're not bringing yourself down, you're bringing the band down compared to like pushing it up. So as a company, if you would just like to think of it as a company, would you retain a person who's no longer productive and all of that and putting it down? No, di ba?
yeah.
You would kick him
Mm,
out. So going back to the statement of Ellie, I think it clear. I think Raymond also cleared that out that even though if they are not friends, they are creative enough to be professional in creating music.
right.
When you are inside the studio, you know your part. It's like an employee. When you go into the office, if you're like an IT, you're gonna be doing the IT work. If you're on HR, you're gonna be doing HR. That is for you to be responsible enough to keep the company afloat or to keep the band afloat. So
Mm,
I think that type of mindset of them as individuals, because of course for the longest time that they are creating music, they are what do you call this? They are professional enough to understand their part.
mm,
So I guess my take on that, it's really a mixed emotion because of course it's a big statement, especially coming from Ellie, that they're not friends. I'm not sure. I really haven't. read the entire, I don't know if they had like a uh does he have like a document or like
I think it was a podcast coming from Sab, because Sab Magalona of Cheats. Was a close friend of Ellie's, and I think they had a exclusive interview with Ellie, asking about the very popular songs that they have, and then Minsan came and they kind of explained. And I think for my point of view, people are obliging Eraserheads to be like someone like Parokya and Edgar, someone
yeah.
like Itchy Worms, where in fact, and Ellie explained it, they're not. I mean, there are these are creative people who just wanted to build good music. I think that's where the mindset. And then I think you're right.
Because
I mean, it depends
because
on
I
the people.
yeah, and because I think when they were in college, Buddy and Raymond
Batchmates,
are dorm mates, yeah,
no
batchmates in
mates,
dorm.
yeah.
And I'm not sure how Ellie joined the band because I think Ellie was
Ellie was a senior. Ellie was the one who actually was looking for the band members. He was the one who looked for the band members.
so
So
I think it's
yeah, he
and
got
diba,
requested.
if you would actually look back into their generation, just like Bamboo and then Rico Blanco, they have the type of mindset that they are creative enough to understand that if they go solo, their band
Mm.
members would still be able to sustain the band.
Stand
So
in,
I,
yeah.
yeah. And but I guess of course. I mean you would be offended, of course. I think that type of statement would offend a lot of people who's looking up to them as a band
Yeah.
because of course you would expect, but it is what it is. I mean, it's not like they did something wrong or something happened after that or anything like that. It's not there's it doesn't have a gravity. The gravity
Mm.
is not that big enough that it caused the band to fail because they are successful musicians until now. I mean, you would see everyone from that band still creating music on their own, and I think they passed through that time that they understand that Eraserheads was part of their history. That of
History,
course
yeah.
it did not be removed, but they need to move on as well. I think only those people who really want to push that you guys are friends, you need to be friends and all of that. I think those are
Yeah.
yeah, they are the ones. But I think Eraserheads themselves are not really putting too much effort. I mean, they see each other, I mean, casually and all of that on gigs, and they still jam into songs of all the Eraserheads. Raymond is playing Eraserheads music with Sandwich. Ellie is playing
Mm.
it on some of his shows with other members. So I guess they're already mature enough to understand that it was a great part of their life, and I think they owe. It's not like they're saying that Eraserheads is it destroyed me or something like that. I mean,
Mm.
you wouldn't hear a statement like that. So maybe they're not really friends. So I
So
mean,
yeah, I
there's
mean, it is
yeah.
what
I
it
mean,
is. That right?
yeah, diba? They're creating songs that we enjoy until now. So I think
Yeah.
thanks to that. But
And
props to
Raymond
them.
even incorporated that to Nirvana, because see, Dave Grohl, Dave Grohl actually, I think released a statement before back in the day, Nirvana time, na after playing, they're not hanging out with each other. Kurt has his own lifestyle.
You know,
Pat has his own, and he has his own as well.
and for me, I think that is healthy.
Mm.
I should say, because of course, I mean, to be honest, it's actually one big factor if you became too close. Well, I would be a hypocrite if I wouldn't say that
Mm.
Surebol is like a family as well, that
Mm.
all of the band members are close. But I think it's also a protective approach for you guys
Mm.
not to be so close enough not to jeopardize the relationship, you as a musicians and into the band. Because if you would try to think about it, if you are the connection is there, and then all of that, and then all of a sudden there's like a commotion. I mean, we've experienced this with
Mm.
Surebol for
Right.
so many
Yeah.
times, and
Mm.
I think that's a bigger challenge as well for the band to take. But I mean, if you would be professional enough already to approach that, or you're on that stage wherein you would just understand that, okay, I want to get you as a bassist to play bass in this band, you as a drummer, you as a vocalist, and all of that, and we share our creative ideas in this band. And then after that, we're good. I mean, we're friends, but
Good.
we're not hang out or like meet each other the
Mm.
weekends or something
Yeah.
like that. Maybe after gigs we can hang out, but not really like communicate like, hey, what are you doing? Do you have time to spend
Staying
with me?
one house or something.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so I guess personal life is uh it's good to separate your personal life to the band itself, because
Mm.
it's I think it's healthier that way. Just to approach uh that type of thing as like, okay, we're just creating music and all of that. We can correct each
Mm.
other because we're professional, but at the end of the day, we have our own things to do. Like I'm going back to my
Right.
house, I have work and all of that, and all. So I guess it's also healthy at the same time, as long as you maintain that creative relationship. I think
Mm.
you would be good.
Yeah. Those are two good points. And when we talk about personal life, sauce. Um, w- how did you got into that name? And like, it's very interesting because the designs itself are originally made really by you, and these are not like like the norm shirt designs na some say na cartoons are just making they're making cartoons like just
Doodles.
yeah doodles and stuff. So it's really different. It has a really deeper concept. So how did you come up with the name, and did you come up with the concept itself?
Yeah. So Sauce actually started when after the ECQ last year. So me and Jerens actually trying to think that why don't we start a business, because we've actually got into some business before, but it's actually not really, or it's not really for us. So we kind of like decided to venture out into something. So after that ECQ, I was thinking that, okay, why don't I try to start uh, making my brand. So I was thinking of
Mm.
a name, and I think sauce was just like a slang for source. It's a
Oh,
source.
okay.
The source is a source of income, so it's like a side hustle and all of that. So I kind of
Mm.
like use the slang sauce, which is you will see normally on the internet. You have sauce and all of that, which is they're saying source. So I kind of like say, okay, so I'm gonna be. So why don't I use that? And then I try to search. Okay, there's no name with a clothing brand with that type of name or whatsoever. So I use that name, and then the designs. It was actually I actually have this type this dark influence with when it comes to art, wherein I
Mm.
don't want to be onto the well, I wouldn't say mainstream side, because I don't know if there's like a mainstream part of designing shirts, but I guess I wanted to be more creative, wherein I really wanted to draw. It would be easier if I would just like do it like a like majority of it is just like text and then like wordings and all of that. I mean, I would do that type of approach too. I mean, actually, I did that for this batch. You
Oh,
can see
that's a
it
new
on
one.
camera. This is the
Oh,
latest.
that's a new
But
one.
yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, but for the designs itself, I wanted to be more creative. I wanted to have more like uh, a
Concept.
darker concept, but the
Mm.
colors would, I mean, contracept. If you would see
Mm.
the colors, they're like pink, yellow, and brown. They're not
Yeah.
like black and gray
Th-
and all of that. So uh, there's like actually a lighter part of the design that I wanted to do. So
mm.
I don't know. I'm actually still learning the process. I'm still new to this clothing industry type of thing, and then the design. So I'm not gonna lie that I'm still getting still trying to get some references online and all of that. So
Mm.
uh, but of course, I wanted to draw it myself because I don't want it to be something that it's just like creating music. You don't want to serve people half baked or
Mm,
something cold or whatnot. I wanted to do something that I really spend time doing it, put all of the efforts in doing it, and then I would feel what do you call this? I would feel satisfied knowing that the designs that I make, I did it myself, and all of the
mm,
efforts that I have. So I guess that's how sauce is gonna be, and all of my designs is gonna be staying that way. I'm onto details, just like other like Turbo Hectic or Bakunawa, where they're really
mm.
spending time doing the designs in detail. So I wanted to be that person as well who really spends time in doing the details and all of that, no matter how long it takes. Because of course, I mean, people are paying good money for the shirt, so you don't want to be just like
Make it
giving
work for
them,
them. Yeah,
yeah, make
agree.
it work for the buck.
Yeah, and I think the last thing that I wanted to know is really the new venture that you're hitting in
Yeah,
the market, Hungry Fella. How did it? How did you come up with the Hungry Fella? Like, yeah, yeah, definitely, it's like really catchy. Yeah, Hungry Fella, and like, and even the color scheme made it more like tasty. Did you like think about now? Okay, use green, red because most of the restaurants are using that because it it's kind of like enticing people to eat,
yeah.
or it just really came out like that.
So actually, Hungry Fella came from a name that uh my like not just my best friend in high school. He was using that as a name in Counter Strike. So he was using Funny Fella as a name in Counter
Mm,
Strike, and I was like, when I first saw him use that name way back in high school, I was thinking, oh, it's a good name. How would I would be able to come up with a name something like that? So I think when I was doing the Hungry Fellow thing, I was actually asking Jerens what name are we gonna be using, and or like Jerens was like suggesting things, and I was like, okay, it's good. But it was actually originally it's supposed to it was I was supposed to name the brand Hungry Monster, but when I was doing the artwork, I was like thinking, why is he gonna be angry if it's uh and all of that stuff. And then when I
mm.
did the artwork, it turned out to be like a boy who is smiling, and then the tongue is out, and then I was okay, hungry monster. It doesn't look like a monster and
The
all of that. So
monster,
I was,
yeah.
yeah, and then it came to me the funny fella thing from way back in high school, and I was like thinking, okay, why don't I use hungry fella? And then I asked Jarens about it, and then she said, okay, it's a good name. And then for the colors, I always love pastel colors, even if you would like see the water bottle and
Mm.
combination and
Ah,
everything.
yeah. Mm.
I always love those type of combination of colors wherein it's colorful and then it's attractive. And I think that's one way of really branding your product,
Bit,
and then really create a statement out of it. Because of course, if you're using like plain black and white or red, and the common ones that out in the market right now, I think it's not really going to stand out compared to be using like multiple colors and all of that. So I think that's where the idea came from. And uh, I really love to cook even before, but I really just don't have the opportunity because here at home my sister or my mom is the one cooking. So
cooking. So this
I don't
one
have.
is really you're the ones really doing
Yes, I'm doing
the
all
cooking.
the work. Jarens is also doing the recipes and all that. So it's a
Mm,
collaboration effort, but she's kind of like afraid with frying it and the oil.
I understand.
No, no, but yeah,
Yeah.
just kidding aside. But yeah, I'm doing the cooking and all of that, and then mixing. So yeah, it's something that I really want to do even before. And I think Marky and I before have planned to do this, and which is Marky's doing it right now as well with his tacos and all of that. So
Yeah.
uh, I think I just thought of like, why don't I start cooking as well, because that's one thing that I wanted to do. And of course, with this pandemic, I mean, you really need to be creative with all of the resources that you have, with the side hustles and all of that. So
Agreed. Agreed.
I think that really uh, woke me up. Like my love for cooking has been like restored. That I really love to do it. So I think all of the things that I wanted to do in the past I am starting to do it one by one right now. So uh, it's another thing. I mean, I need to spend the effort. It's not like I'm just doing this full time because I still have work at night and all of that. So
Yeah.
you really need to balance everything on how you're going to be doing it, from like music to cooking to creating design. So that kind of like pretty summed up to your first question earlier on what keeps me
Yeah.
busy, right?
Yeah, and it's like we're pretty much good at in that part, balancing out everything in just
Yeah, yeah,
one take ever
yeah.
since now. Yeah, so I think overall that was really a good talk, Lua. It's been a while since we had this kind of conversation. It's really good.
Yes.
Thank you for letting me interview you. And do you have anything to plug, Bob, before we end
Uh,
the session?
yeah. Of course, I just want to plug all of the social sites that currently manage. Of course, Surebol Iloilo. We are on Instagram and Facebook. You can find all the music that we have on social media. Sauce 5000 on Facebook and Instagram, or Sauce World Wild on Instagram as well. And Hungry Fella Iloilo is on Instagram and Facebook as well. So you guys just check those if you are into merchandise, streetwear, check Sauce if you wanted to taste some of the things that I do, like burgers and buffalo wings and all of that. Check Hungry Fella. And if you want to have some loud music with that, check Surebol Iloilo. So
Yeah, I'll put the links in the description as well, just
thanks, Jake.
so they have the reference. So again, thank you. Stay safe, and I'll talk to you this
Yep.
weekend. I'm gonna taste that burgers
Tomorrow.
that you have.
Yes, burger.
Thank you, and stay safe. Thank you again. Salamat.